Jai. So welcome everyone to this evening's class. We're going to be continuing with the glories of Lord Chaitanya and Navadvipa Dham and Jagannath Puri Dham. And today's episode is about the 9 islands of Navadvipa. So for this, I have a little PowerPoint, a few slides anyway, that I'm going to share. There's not so many devotees here, but I think they're going to hear the recording. So anyways, let's go ahead. Oops, that wasn't what I meant to do. Hold on. Screen share. Okay, this is slideshow mode. Okay, is that good for all of you? I'm just going to...
Yep, that's good.
Awesome. Thanks, Adriana.
Yes, I can see it fine.
Okay, let me just get this floating bar out of the way. Okay, perfect. Jai, the 9 islands of Navadvipa. So, all right, here's the map of India, and the red marker there is showing where Navadvipa is. So Navadvipa is about 130 kilometers north of Calcutta, which is about a 4-hour drive, well, depending on the traffic. But it's not so far from Calcutta. So we'll be flying from New Delhi over to Calcutta and then getting a taxi up to Navadvipa Dham, Sri Mayapur, ISKCON Mayapur. And then I want to also show you the relationship here between Navadvipa and Puri. So you can see down here, can you see my cursor thing? Puri's way down here at the bottom of the map. So that's Jagannath Puri. And Cuttack is where Nitai lives, Nitai's family. So we're going to be getting a train from Navadvipa to Calcutta, and then another train from Calcutta down to Cuttack. We'll be staying with Nitai for the night and spending the next day with him, and then going to Jagannath Puri, where we'll stay 1 day, and then Vaisheshika Prabhu's group will be joining us there December 24th. We'll stay some days there in Puri with the whole group, the Global Youth Retreat, and then we'll head back with them back up to Mayapur to do some more parikrams with them all together. So that's the area that we're covering. I just wanted to make sure everybody understands like where we're going geographically. But at the same time, even though we're looking at ordinary, Google Maps here and seeing the location of Navadvipa, but we have to be careful to not think of Navadvipa Dham or, Gaur Mandala, which is the larger area, which I'll show you in a minute, as an ordinary geographical place. Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually says that one who sees the Dham as an ordinary place, just like any other, location in this world, is doomed. So we want to be careful of that. So I'm going to read a few things here from Navadvipa Dham Mahatmya about the transcendental nature of this place. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes here, this holy land is eternally perfect, transcendently conscious, and unlimited. No genius can penetrate this realm by the strength of his intellect. Only by the influence of the ecstatic potency, the Hladini Shakti of the Lord, can a soul give up all mundane conceptions of righteousness or dharma, and with the help of perfect knowledge, realize what is genuine dharma and realize what is the true dham. And he continues, Navadvipa is the divine place. Navadvipa is the divine plane of consciousness where Sri Chaitanya performs his beautiful pastimes of love. Seeing everything with their fleshy eyes, people can conceive only of this phenomenal world. Because their vision is covered by misconception, they cannot perceive the transcendental world. In Navadvipa, however, neither misconception nor relative time and space have any jurisdiction. In Navadvipa, there exists no suffering for the living soul, but those who are bound to the ideals of fruitive work and its reaction have no eyes to see spiritual reality. Entangled in misconception, they see the divine abode of the Lord as an ordinary place. One who is very fortunate, however, may gain the company of devotees. By their mercy, divine love will awaken within the heart, and one can experience the spiritual world of Vaikuntha. At that time, one can see with his spiritually purified eyes the non-material abode of the Lord. That divine realm with its transcendental space and time exists beyond the relativity of this phenomenal world. So that's a little description by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And yeah, so I'll also show you the map of Gora Mandala. So this is, this is a little bit of an antiquated map showing Gora Mandala, which is the broader area. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also describes this. He says, all right, he says, the holy land of Navadvipa in its eternal splendor is situated within the greater circle of land known as Gora Mandala and is served by the Ganges. Gora Mandala is 168 miles in circumference, with the Ganges running through its center. Gora Mandala takes the form of a lotus flower with 100 petals. The 9 islands of Navadvipa Dham, which form the beautiful inner flower of the great lotus, measure 32 miles in circumference. So this whole thing here is Gora Mandala. And then see this area where there's a lot of dots. I think the dots are all marking like different holy places. So this area here is Navadvipa Dham. It's like the bigger lotus. You can kind of just try to imagine those different patches as like lotus petals. And then there's a lotus within that lotus. So yeah, eight of the islands are petals surrounding the 9th island, Antardvip, the whorl of the lotus, which is 10 miles in circumference. The very center of that whorl is called the Yoga Pit, the holy place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advented himself on this earth. So now he's going to describe also the transcendental nature of Gora Mandala. Gora Mandala is a transcendental, wish-fulfilling jewel, a land of beauty and harmony, where all things, even the water, the earth, and the trees, are fully conscious and ecstatic. That's a really nice thought, to think that everything there, even the water, the earth, the trees, are conscious and ecstatic. That holy land is composed of the Lord's 3 spiritual potencies: existence, cognition, and ecstasy. Or in other words, the Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini Shaktis. The same existence potency which sustains material existence sustains the existence of the spiritual abode. This is enacted by the Lord's inconceivable supernatural power. One who equates the holy land of Sri Krishna or Sri Chaitanya with this ordinary world is doomed to bondage and ignorance. One who is in darkness may think the sun has been covered by clouds, but clouds can never cover the sun. Similarly, Gora Mandala is eternally transcendental to the material world. Like the sun, it is self-effulgent, but those whose vision is obscured by the clouds of ignorance fail to see that holy land. They can see only this dark material world wherever they look. One who attains the mercy of Lord Nityananda, however, can see that land of harmony, beauty, and ecstasy, which is fully conscious and transcendental. So you need to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and the mercy of the devotees. Now he's going to describe a little bit more. Within that holy land flows all the sacred rivers, beginning with the Yamuna and Ganges. And there one can find the 7 holy places, beginning with Prayag. Gora Mandala is the spiritual world of Vaikuntha. Only a fortunate soul can see that spotless domain of the Supreme Godhead. On the order of the Lord himself, that divine realm is hidden by the clouds of illusion from the external vision of worldly souls who can never perceive its divinity. Those who eternally live in Gora Mandala, however, are most fortunate, They have attained the world beyond birth and death. Even the gods in their heavenly abodes are astonished to see those residents of Goramandala with their dark blue four-handed figures of radiant beauty. So he's saying here that the residents of Goramandala have like four-armed forms, transcendental personalities. And then here, this part reminded me of recently we saw the section of the Abhay Charan video series on the appearance day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And it was about how Bhaktivinoda Thakur was looking for the actual place of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, the Yoga Pit. And they went there and they saw, it was depicted how they saw, the Sankirtan party, or there was a farmer. There was like this, pious farmer who saw the eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya doing kirtan at that place. And it was all very mystical. So this description is here. Within the inner circle of Goramandala, in the area known as Navadvipa Dham, the numerous residents are golden in complexion and always perform Nam Sankirtan. The demigods, headed by the creator of the universe, Lord Brahma, descend from the higher planetary systems to worship the residents of Navadvipa. Lord Brahma says, "When will I have the good fortune to take birth as a blade of grass in Navadvipa Dham? There I can wear as my crown the dust of the holy feet of those who serve the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya. I have cheated him, and I'm trying to act as the Lord of the universe. When will the ropes of karma binding me to this material world be severed? When will I give up false ego? When will my mind become pure? When will this false mentality of ownership vanish? When will I stop thinking myself to be the Lord of creation? Only then will I be able to serve Sri Chaitanya and attain the shelter of his lotus feet." So here we see from Lord Brahma a little bit of the mood of entering into actually the transcendental realm of Goramandala or Navadvipa Dham. And we hear some really amazing facts about Navadvipa Dham and the people that live there. So it may be hard to believe, that how is it that all these holy places that are mentioned, beginning with Prayag and even Vaikuntha, how are they all present there in Navadvipa Dham? And how is it that the residents of Navadvipa Dham have four-armed forms? So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in the next page, he says, in considering these spiritual topics, reject all logic and argument as useless and inauspicious. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya are as deep as an ocean and cannot be understood by logic and argument. The infinite can never be measured by logic. Logic is as useless as the skin of a banana. One who tries to cross the ocean of repeated birth and death by the use of logic only wastes his time. For all his efforts, he gains nothing. On the other hand, one who rejects logic and accepts the guidance of saints and scriptures will soon attain Sri Chaitanya. On the order of Nityananda Prabhu, the personified scriptures constantly sing the glories of Navadvipa Dham. By following the advice of saintly devotees and by studying the scriptures, one can understand the spiritual nature of Navadvipa Dham. So that's Bhaktivinoda Thakur's advice. Yeah, so let's look a little bit more here. That this is on the left, you can see a Google map of Navadvipa Dham, and then there's a transcendental version of that lotus flower of Navadvipa Dham. So this is the lotus flower that's within the bigger lotus flower of Goramandala. And you can see here the demarcations of the 9 islands. There's Simanta Dweep here, and then Gojruma Dweep, Madhya Dweep, Ola Dweep, Ritu Dweep, Janu Dweep, Modadruma Dweep, and the inner circle here, the whorl, is Antar Dweep. So a long time ago, the islands, Nava means 9 and Dweep means island. So it's literally the Dham, the holy place consisting of these 9 islands. And they're called islands because it used to be that each one was separated by a tributary of the Ganges or the Jalangi or, some river. And there's tons of rivers all over that area, just full of rivers. The whole of West Bengal is very wet. It's rivers and marshes and rice paddies flooded with water. So they get a lot of rain there. It's very tropical. It's similar to Florida in that it rains all summer, except that the soil there is not sandy, so the water doesn't just sink down into the earth and go away. But it's more clay, so it stays, and then it just forms all these rivers and things. So yeah, but nowadays some of those rivers are non-existent. So if you do Navadvipa Mandal Parikram, each island is not necessarily separated by a river anymore, but some of them still are. So yeah, each one of these islands, Lord Chaitanya and his associates performed transcendental pastimes there. And later on, many of our Vaishnava acharyas, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gorkishore Das Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji, and other great souls like Vasudev Datta and Vrindavan Das Thakur, who wrote the Chaitanya Bhagavat, the early pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and many more, amazing Vaishnavas like that. They spent substantial parts of their lives in Navadvipa Dham, just immersed in remembering and discussing the pastimes of Gaura-Nitai, Lord Chaitanya. So, see, something else I wanted to read here. Yeah, this is the last part that I'll read from this book. His descriptions are also ecstatic. I remember the first time that I read this book, Navadvipa Dham Mahatmya, I was just like in ecstasy. I started reading. I went to actually the devotee. I was living in Scotland in the ashram. I was a new devotee, and my god sister sent me to go and clean our spiritual master's motorhome that he had just come back from traveling. So I found the book on his little bookshelf in his motorhome, and I started reading it, and I couldn't stop reading it. I read the whole thing from cover to cover, and I was like in ecstasy reading this book, thinking, I have to go to this place. I have to go to this place. And then, I went back to the temple, and then my god sister was like, you must have done a great job cleaning that. It took you so long. I was like, yeah. So here we go. Now hear, O devotees, the description of Navadvipa Dham. Within the 32-mile circumference of Navadvipa, there are 16 eternal streams. On the east bank of the main branch of the Ganges, there are 4 islands, and on the west bank, 5. So on 4 islands on one side of the Ganges and 5 islands on the other side. The different tributaries of the Ganges surround these 9 islands and increase the splendor of the Holy Land. Near the Ganges flow the sweet and beautiful river Yamuna and the divinely musical Saraswati. East of the Yamuna are 3 long rivers, the Tamraparni, the Tritamala, and the Brahmaputra. The Sarayug, Narmada, Kareri, and Gomati rivers cross the others and run swiftly with the Godavari. Where all these rivers intersect, they form the 9 islands of Navadvipa Dham. By the will of the Lord, sometimes these rivers run dry and sometimes they flood. By his will, the holy places become hidden at times, and by his will, they again become visible. Yeah, because actually after Lord Chaitanya left this planet, there was a big flood, and a lot of Navadvipa Dham was basically like just demolished by the flood, and the Ganges River also changed course. So that's why they had a hard time finding the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, is because the rivers all change, rivers change course. And especially after the flood dried up and then the rivers kind of like manifest again, but in different places. Nobody knew where anything was anymore because all the maps were kind of in relation to the rivers. So yeah, sometimes they're hidden and sometimes they become visible. And by the grace of our acharyas, now all these places have been located again, so we can visit them. In this way, the divine abode of the Lord, which is always visible to fortunate souls, performs its endless pastimes of appearing and disappearing. So he's saying this is a pastime of the Dham, of the places themselves, is that they appear and disappear. A devotee who has an intense heartfelt need for service to the Holy Land always sees with the eye of his soul the islands and streams of Navadvipa. Only through devotion can one develop this kind of vision. So a pure devotee who wants to serve the Dham and serve the Lord can see all these things. The island that lies at the confluence of the Yamuna and the Ganges is known in the Vedas as Antardvip. There lies the holy place where Sri Chaitanya appeared. For devotees know that the place called Mahavan, in the center of Krishna's divine abode in Goloka Vrindavan, is the same as Mayapur, the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Navadvipa. The eternal spiritual world, consisting of Svetadvip, Vaikuntha, Goloka, and Vrindavan, is permanently situated within Navadvip Dham. The 7 sacred cities of Ayodhya, Mathura, Haridwar, Kashi, Kanchi, Avanti, and Dwarka are all eternally present in different places in Navadvip, just as the major countries of the world are represented in the capital by their embassies. This is all enacted by the will of the Lord. Haridwar, the gateway to the Ganges, is also known as Mayapur. The Mayapur of Haridwar is present in full in the Mayapur of Navadvip Dham, which is famous throughout the scriptures. If one goes to Mayapur once, he easily becomes free from the bondage of Maya. One who wanders through Mayapur will find that the power of Maya has retreated to a distance. He never again takes birth in this material world. So again, we can't understand these things with our mundane logic. These are all transcendental facts in relation to Navadvip Dham. So let's, yeah, this is the book that I've been reading from. And then, so these are the 9 islands, and each one of the islands is associated with one of the 9 processes of devotional service. So usually when devotees do parikram, they start in Antardvip, which is the whorl. It's the part there in the center. And that is associated with the process of Atma Nivedanam, which means completely surrendering everything, offering one's entire self to the Lord. And it's in Antardvip that Lord Chaitanya's, the Yoga Pit, or the place where Lord Chaitanya appeared, is there, the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. And also in Antardvip, we have some other well-known famous places that we'll be visiting, like Shiva Sangham, which is the home of Srivas Pandit, or Srivas Thakur, where Lord Chaitanya, basically the Sankirtan movement began there in the house of Srivasacharya. They used to have the nightly kirtans. They would go and have kirtan there all night long. Those closed door, intimate, ecstatic kirtans with Lord Chaitanya and his associates. During the day, they would go out and do like public kirtans or like Harinam, but at night they would have just the devotees, this really like ecstatic, confidential kirtans where Lord Chaitanya would exhibit special ecstasies. And also there's the house of Advaita Acharya, where Advaita Acharya worshipped the Shalagram Shila in order to call Lord Chaitanya to come down. And we have a lot of really nice places. Jagai and Madai Ghat, that was made there by Jagai and Madai. There's also the house of Murari Gupta, who was, he was actually a doctor, and he was one of the pure devotee associate of Lord Chaitanya. And he was actually Hanuman in the spiritual world, and he was a worshiper of Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. So all these places. And then Simantadvip. So that's the second island that's famous for Shravanam, for hearing. And there we have, one thing that we have there now is a temple of Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. It's an ISKCON temple. And many pastimes of Lord Jagannath happened there. And there's also the Chandkazi Samadhi. So the place where Chandkazi used to live. And Chandkazi is a person, he was a Muslim king who tried to stop the Harinam Sankirtan. And then there's a whole pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that we'll hear about later when we get there, about how Lord Chaitanya went to his house and talked to him, and Lord, with the help of Lord Nrsingadev, convinced the Chandkazi to not do anything to stop the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. So after that, they had his full support. And there's some other nice temples there, Madan Gopal Temple, that we'll go and see. Then Godrumadvip is famous for Kirtanam, or chanting the holy names. And there we have the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And there's also Sarabi Kunj, where Lord Nityananda opened up the marketplace of the holy names, where he was selling the holy name for 1 paisa of faith at Sarabi Kunj. And many nice stories there and beautiful temples there. Then Madhyadweep, which is for Shravanam, remembering. And there we have the place of Naimisharanya. So there's like, we were just hearing from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was saying that all of the holy places in the world are located somewhere within the district of Navadvipa, like embassies are in the capital city of a big city. So in Madhyadweep, we have the embassy of Naimisharanya, the place where the sages gathered and the Srimad Bhagavatam was recited by Sutta Goswami to all the sages headed by Shaunaka Rishi. And there's the Panchaveni, the place where 5 holy rivers come together. Then Koladweep, is Padasevanam, serving the Lord's lotus feet. So in Koladweep, we have a place where Lord Varaha appeared. And this is also, Koladweep is where Navadvip town, there's like the town of Navadvip, which is different from Mayapur. You have to take a boat and go from Mayapur to Navadvip town. And that's the town where we have the temple where the deity that Lord Chaitanya's wife, Vishnupriya, worshipped after he took sannyas. That same deity called Dameshwara Mahaprabhu is still there. We can go and see him. And there's also Jagannath Das Babji Maharaj's Samadhi and Bhajan Kutir. And there's many beautiful places. There's a place where Jiva Goswami stayed. There's a place where Jayadev Goswami, who is a great Vaishnava poet, he lived, and we'll visit that place. Then we have Ritudweep, which is Archanam, or worshiping. So Ritudweep is, there's a place there where there's a Radha Kund in Navadweep that Lord Nityananda discovered and identified that this is Radha Kund. And there's also Shama Kund and the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was an impersonalist that Lord Chaitanya made into a devotee, and he stayed there. There's also the house of a devotee named Vidya Vachaspati, which is Lord Chaitanya stayed in that house. Vidya Vachaspati was a Brahmin. He was a big scholar, and Lord Chaitanya stayed in his house for a while. He was trying to hide out there because too many crowds were coming. And he went there, and millions of people were out there wanting to see him. And they were like roaring and doing kirtan to try to make him come out. And then finally he came out on the roof of Vidya Vachaspati's house. And he was like, Hari Bol, and the crowd went wild. So that all happened there. And then Janudweep, Vandanam, praying. Janudweep is a place where Janu Muni had his ashram. And Lord Chaitanya manifested to Janu Muni. This is before Lord Chaitanya's actual appearance in this world. Janu Muni was living there. And Janu Muni we're going to hear about, I think next Wednesday we'll do the descent of the Ganga, how the Mother Ganges came to this world, and the part that Janu Muni played in that. And that all happened in Janudweep, long before the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. Then Moda Druma Dweep is the process of Sevana, being a servant. And there we have place where Vrindavan Das Thakur stayed. Lord Ramachandra appeared there, or let's say Lord Chaitanya appeared as Lord Ramachandra in that place. And let's see what else happened there. So many things. I'm just trying to choose the main highlights here. So Narada Muni went to that place, and Lord Chaitanya manifested himself to Narada Muni. There's many things that happened there. Then the last one here is Rudradweep, which is Sakyam, being a friend. And this is where Rudra is another name for Lord Shiva. So in Rudradweep, Lord Shiva received the darshan of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Nityananda, when he takes Jiva Goswami there on Parikram, he also shows him there the place that the Rasa Mandala, or the place where Rasa dance with Krishna and the gopis takes place. So yeah, we were talking about how Navadvip Dham is non-different from my Vrindavan Dham. So all the pastimes of Vrindavan, they actually take place in Mayapur. And indeed, this whole Navadvip Dham, it was created by Srimati Radharani. I wasn't planning to read the story, but I think the story is here in this book that I have. Yeah, I'll just try to find it here because it's a nice story and we have a little bit of time. Yeah, it's here. Okay. So this story is told by Lord Shiva to Parvati. So I'll just read it. As a bee plays in a lotus, Krishna was enjoying with Viraja. Viraja is another gopi in Vrindavan, in the pleasant forest groves of Vrindavan. Then moon-faced, doe-eyed Radhika heard this news from one Saki and hastily ran to find Krishna. Seeing that Radha was coming, Krishna suddenly disappeared. So they were worried that they were going to get in trouble, busted by Radharani. So then Krishna disappeared, and then Viraja, that gopi, she became a river. Actually, the river Viraja is the river which separates the material and spiritual worlds. So when Srimati Radharani arrived there, she couldn't find either of them. Absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, Radha began to think of how to attract him away from Viraja. So she's thinking, well, Krishna, he's not with me, he's with this other gopi. It must be that he's more attracted to her. So how can I create a more attractive situation so that he won't go to her, he'll come to me. So it says, she gathered her Sakis together between the Ganga and Yamuna rivers, and she created a beautiful place. She thought, let me create such a beautiful place that he'll want to come see me because of the place. This place was decorated with creepers and trees and filled with male and female bumblebees. Deer, does, and bucks were happily enjoying as they wandered about, and the whole area was filled with the fragrance of jasmine, malika, and malati flowers. That transcendental abode was adorned with tulsi forests and decorated with various groves. On Radha's order, the Ganga and Yamuna, with their pleasant water and banks, acted as a moat to protect the garden. Cupid himself, along with springtime, eternally resides there, and the birds constantly sang the auspicious name of Krishna. Radha, dressed in a colorful cloth, then began to play a beautiful melody on a flute in order to attract Krishna. Attracted by that melody, Krishna appeared in that enchanting place. Radha, the attractor of Krishna's mind, seeing that Krishna had come, held his hand and experienced ecstatic delight. Then Krishna, understanding Radha's mood, spoke in a voice choked with love. O lovely-faced Radha, you are my very life. There was no one more dear to me than you. Therefore, I will never leave you. Just for me, you have created this wonderful place. Staying with you, I will transform this place, filling it with new sakis and groves. The devotees will glorify this place as new Nava Vrindavan. As this place is like an island, Dvip, the wise will call it Navadvip. By my order, all the holy places will reside here. Because you have created this place for my pleasure, I will live here eternally. Those people who come here and worship us will certainly attain our eternal service in the mood of the Sakis. O dear Radha, like Vrindavan, this place is extremely pure. If anyone comes here just once, he will obtain the results of going to all sacred places. He will quickly attain devotional service, which satisfies us. O Parvati, Lord Shiva continued, I have described to you the reason for the appearance of Navadvip. When heard by mankind, this narration removes all sins and bestows devotional service. Whoever rises early in the morning and with devotion to Gaura recites or hears the story of Navadvip's creation will certainly attain Gauranga. So yeah, in the first class, we were hearing about how we can actually only truly access Radha and Krishna, or worship Radha and Krishna, by going through Gaur Nitai. And Krishna himself is saying that he is more accessible here in Navadvip Dham, and that anybody who goes there and worships them in Navadvip will actually be able to attain their eternal service in the mood of the Vrajavasis. So I think, yeah, that's the last slide. I'm gonna stop sharing here. Figure out how to stop sharing. Oh, did I lose the meeting? Sure did.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, you're still there. I thought the meeting dropped. I was trying to figure out how to find you guys. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Can you still
I
see
think
the
everybody's
slideshow or
here.
is the slideshow down?
No, I can see the slideshow.
Okay, I have no idea what happened. Yeah, go ahead. I can't see you or the slideshow. But I'm
I
here.
think maybe you answered this, but will we be going to all of the 9 islands or no?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I've been talking to Garangi Gandharvika about, you know, setting the itinerary for our journeys, our parikrams and things. And the way we have it now is that we're going to visit at least 7 of the islands. So we're going to go to most of the places, or at least, you know, we'll set foot on at least 7 of the islands. And then if
Yeah.
there's time, depending on how everybody feels, I don't want to like, you know, put too much into it, but yeah.
And then because they represent the different processes of devotional service, is there something specific that we can do to like try to, I don't know, like invoke that mood, or like just praying for like full surrender, or praying to like actually hear and understand, or
Yeah, it's nice that on each one of the islands we can meditate on the process of service that's represented by that island. And you know, for example, kirtanam, when we go to Navadvipa, we can try to do a lot of kirtan, and doing, you know, whatever the process is, we can try to really like practice that to whatever extent we can, and then just meditate on doing something, even if it's kind of like manasa seva or praying, to be able to go deeper in that aspect of devotional service in our regular daily lives, to get the blessings of the Dham, to be able to, you know, really, yeah, go deep in that service. Nice. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Any other thoughts or questions? I'm really trying to highlight now the transcendental nature of Navadvip Dham, because when we go there, sometimes it can be, you know, challenging to see it as, you know, the spiritual world. A lot of it depends on our consciousness. So yeah, the class that we're going to have next Thursday is going to be about, it's going to be all about just the mood of that, having the proper mood, so that we can really enter into the Dham more and be able to appreciate it and make the most of our experience there. So that's very important. We really can't hear enough about the transcendental divine nature of the Holy Dham, and then that will inspire us to cultivate the proper mood so that we can actually experience that. Because, you know, different people will go, and different people will have very different experiences, and it all depends on our consciousness. At least it depends a lot on our consciousness. So I think these classes are really good for getting a little sneak preview and overview, and then, but also mainly just for setting our consciousness, setting our intention and our appreciation, so that when we go there, we can have a little bit of a Shastra chakshush, or be able to see, not with our mundane eyes, or like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, our fleshy eyes, but be able to actually, or even, you know, to try to see it with the mundane mind or intellect, but to try to see it through the eyes of scripture, try to see it through the way that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing it in the Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. Okay. Jai, so thank you for attending. And I'm a little lost here on my screen, so I don't even know how to end this meeting. But hopefully,
Thank you, Prabhupada Priya.
okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Navadvip Dham ki jai. Shri Jai ki jai. Shri
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo.
Prabhupada Priya ki jai.